Hello, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to show you a bit more on this subframe that I've been doing. I've had some comments saying don't need to take it out to do the things that I'm doing, but it's much easier to get to what I'm trying to get to. And also I wasn't 100% sure on the problem. We had a bit of play in the wheels. I replaced the wheel bearings while the wheels were on the car, while the subframe was in the car, but unfortunately that did nothing. We'd still got the play at the hub end down there. So thought it was the output shaft bearings on the diff, but wasn't quite sure. But I took it out anyway because it's made it easier. I can clean it up, I can paint it, I can make it look nice. So here's what I've done. So I've done one side, just so I know what I'm doing. But here is the output shaft bearing is inside this part here. To get to it, what you need to do is undo the drive shaft nuts and bolts there. Just take the nuts off, the bolts stay in. This part pulls off, that spacer pulls off, and then there's actually a groove in that part there, which means you can get a socket to each individual bolt on the output shaft bearing, and then that comes out. So it comes apart like that, and then you're left with that hole there. There is 3 shims in there, so make sure you don't lose them. And what you end up with is this. That output shaft bearing there, and that's the one we've got to change there. You can feel no play in it with your hands, but when the weight of the axle and the wheel are on there, you have got play. So the only way I've found to do this is I found on a forum somebody had drilled a hole in there and then hit it with a chisel, whatever, tried to get it off, and it came off. You've got to get all the way through this. I could not press it off without getting all the way through it. So I'm going to go all the way through this with a little Dremel here with the cutting disc on. You probably need to use a couple of these, but I'm going to go all the way through this as far as I can and try and get a bit through the bearing as well. Obviously it's case hardened stuff, so it's a bit of a nightmare. It does take a while to get through, but I'll start at that and then we'll see where we go. So put a bit of light on. So I'll set this up and we'll see what we can do with this. Now I did drill a hole in the last one through there to try and get down the cutting time and try and save these. This one I'm just going to try and cut through. I'll see how it goes, see how it starts cutting, and if I do need to drill a hole in it, I will. As you can see, he's starting to get through there, but it will take some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to time lapse you. Right, so I wore my little grinding disc down there, as it will. So we'll put on them, not good little things these are. Little grinding wheels that you can put on to a Dremel type thing. This is just a cheap version of a Dremel, but it's been going a few years without any problems. So I have had a Dremel in the past that didn't last 10 minutes. I also had one of them bench grinders with a sort of die grinder that comes off it. That didn't last 10 minutes either. You can see the size of the disc when it's new. We'll just take you down and show you where I am with it. So going through, you just don't want to touch the shaft there, but getting through it. So I'll continue on. Right, so all I've done now is I cut all the way through. I wasn't expecting to break, I was just trying to loosen off, and then I stuck a chisel in the groove, one tap with an hammer, and it was only a knock, and that's off. So we go try and press that off. It's just the bearing, and you've got to try and press the bearing off. We have got a little groove in it, if you can see, down in there, which hopefully will relieve a little bit of the pressure, and we'll put it in the press and we'll see if we can get that off. Now, as I'm sure you can see, we've got a bit of a weird setup where I've had to use two big pry bars to get under these little ears on the holder for the bearing, because there's just nowhere to hold it. I have seen people use a bearing puller where you put the bearing puller behind it and bolt it together. I haven't got one that will fit behind this, so we're going to give this a go. I've put no heat on it at the moment. I'm just going to see if it'll come off. So we're pressing this axle out of the bearing. There you go. It's out. So there we go. That's what we wanted. We'll clean all that up and we'll replace this bearing onto there with the collar. We've got a new O-ring to go around there as well, and that's how to get that out. I hope that helps somebody, but we'll continue on and I'll show you how to replace the bearings. So please excuse the massive mess, but that's the way it is. The bearings come like this. You've got the collar there that goes on the outside, that's what we cut through. We've got a new bearing here, there. We've got a O-ring seal, and also a seal that will seal the axle. So first things first, that bearing comes out nice and easy there. This seal's got to come out. So make sure you remember what orientation it goes in, and it is this way. So you got the thinner lip on this side and the fatter one on that side, and it presses in there like that. So I've got to get this one out first. I did try a seal puller on the other one, it just wouldn't shift it, so I ended up having to knock it out with a chisel. So I'll do the same now. So we've just got it in the vise, it comes out that way. Looks like it's falling apart. Yep. There we go. So we get that out. I'll clean that up on the inside of there, and then we will fix the new sealing. And the new seal just presses in that way. Just make sure it's nice and clean down there, so it'll sit where it's meant to be. Okay. So we've got it set up on there. It just pushes in that way. Just try and get it straight before you start pushing. This is off a bush remover. fits perfectly, sits on the outer edge. You could do this in a vice. Don't know if you'd get away with tapping it in because it is quite sort of fragile and bendy. And it's going in on the piss, so let's just move it over a little bit. See if we can get this side to start going in. There we go. Put it back in the centre. See if that's all the way down. It's got to go a little bit further. That one sits a bit too much on the outside, so I might have to use a slightly smaller one to get that in. Look what we got. That one should do it. It's just got to be pushed down that little bit more. You'll get there in a minute. There we go. So it looks like it's pushing on the bit too much on the centre rather than on the actual outside. Stop that before it gets too far. Just want to have it slightly bigger. These are really handy to have because you'd struggle finding something to do that with. So I'll wait to get this back in the car. Then I'll go to the front wheel bearings and then some rust that I didn't even realise was on the car when I bought it, so that's got to be done as well. And there we go, that's all the way down. So that seal is pressed in nicely. So now we'll put it back on. I'll show you one here, it goes together since it's already here. So that's your axle there. That's your bearing holder that pushes on over there. And there's a seal on it, so you'll have to just push it over. The O-ring goes in there, you can put that on after. I've pulled the other one out, and then that's your one bearing there, and that's like the sleeve. Now I'm going to push them down separately on this one. Last time I did it, I pushed them down together. This time I'm going to push them down separately. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to drop this down, so I've got a bit more room. And you need something decent to have this on because it needs a fair bit of pressure to get these bearings on there. You have to really push them down. What I've got is this bit of pipe that I've cut, which fits perfectly over there and onto the bearing. It is flared out ever so slightly on the end because it does get wider when it gets down to the bottom, so I'll make sure it's not going to get stuck on there. This is very close fit, very tight. So let's just move this out of the way and set it up. Because I was bending everything I was using to try and push this on, the only thing we had with enough behind it was this ABS block, and that ABS block is pretty solid. So we got that, and then we go in with that. I have to let this up. We're going to have to see if there's room for this. I can't remember which one I had it on when I did the last one, which set in here. No, I don't know, I'm going to have room with this block. I'm going to have to go down one more. back on there. Put that on there. And that on there. Just got to get them off that. Right, I'm back. So I've just slid the pipe over the top there, as you can see. Now we're going to see if we can press this on. Trying to get it central as possible. And there we go, it's going down nicely. And then it's starting to stick. Did this last time, where it starts to get a little bit wider. Just have to do it a little bit more until it's all the way down. Looks like it. So, as I said, the pipe has stuck a little bit, but a few little whacks and that will come off. There we go, it's off. So, now we can put the O-ring inside there, and then this can all go back together and go on the car. Right, now, all that happens here is, you've got your 3 shims in there. Make sure you've got 3. Like that. So we'll give them a clean, we'll give the hole where it's going a quick wipe, and then we can put it back in. I'm also going to change the differential oil because it's pretty bad. Don't think it's been changed in a long time, but the car is from 1993. You don't know what it's been looked after. Don't want anything getting into the diff, causing grindy problems. So that's like that. And all we do is get this. Oh, don't forget that one. Don't be an idiot like me. Probably best if them go in and sit where they need to be. There we go. But you just have to tap that. Oh, there we go. And then you need to get it into the position it needs to be into tightening up. Line the holes up, I believe that's where it sits. And then we've got our bolts. If you remember from earlier, you've got gaps in here. So if you go where the gap is, you can get your bolts through. You do that one there, then just have to go a bit further. And knock on the end of them if that, and you can go in, use the gap to put the next ones in. So we'll go all the way around like that, we'll tighten them up, and then we just got to put this back on there, and then all of this back in there. I hope this little video helps you. Please like and subscribe. We're growing, we've got over 1,500 now, so we'll continue on. That's where we go.